Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. On this wonderful Sunday, I want to take some time and make a video that is a little more subjective, a little more anecdotal, but the same was true for some of my very early videos where I always said it's an observation, and let's see in the comments down below if you made the same observation. And when many people around the world make the same kind of observation, then it becomes something more than just anecdotal evidence. It becomes confirmation bias. Alright, in the last days and weeks, while all this craziness was going on in Eastern Europe and is still going on, I was of course watching and listening, and I was seeing who is saying what. And it turns out that, it's not really a law of nature, but it is an observation. It feels, or it seems to me like a rule of thumb, to say the least. And that is that people who have no idea about the military, who never served in the military, who never held a weapon, who couldn't defend themselves and their families, etc., I think you know who I'm talking about, these people were promoting military action in Eastern Europe, and they were very loud and very outspoken about this. So they were calling for no-fly zones, and they were applauding the fact that we are sending weapons to, criminals basically. They changed all their avatars with these overlay colors with the yellow and the blue, and they basically said that the German army should just roll in there and just fight alongside the Ukrainians. And so I noticed this kind of anti-correlation where the further away they were from the military or from having any knowledge about military affairs, the more they were promoting military action. And on the other hand, people who served themselves or who are still active military, or who at least, like myself, did the basic training, so that means for about a year they were a soldier in the army, in my case in the German army, or just people who have some sort of knowledge about these things, they were more careful, much more careful when talking about these issues. My observation generally was that they had a better grasp on what that would actually mean if NATO were to get involved in this conflict, or what a no-fly zone would actually mean. Yes, that would mean shooting down Russian planes. That's what that would mean. And so people who are knowledgeable about the military, or as I said, served themselves or still are in service, they were actually a little more on the neutral side, and they were saying we should not get involved, we should do our best to limit this conflict to Ukraine, and this is way too big and way too dangerous to just use it as the next opportunity for virtue signaling, mostly online of course. But who is this group, this very diverse group of people that are so pro-war here in this case? It is a very colorful bunch, of course. In the US, I think it is the Democratic Party, of course, and parts of the Republican Party also. If you find Joe Biden to be a really great guy and you think that Hunter Biden did nothing wrong, then yeah, you probably also want war in Ukraine. And in Germany, I can say that people in the SPD and in the Green Party, they also fall into that category, and everything is aligned. But who are these people on a personal level? This is just party affiliation. What other characteristics do they have? Well, I made the experience, this is at least my impression, and feel free to comment down below. As I said, if you made the same observation, that is that women, I wouldn't say that mostly women are pro-war right now, but normally women are anti-war, or at least they say that it is a horrible thing that needs to be avoided, and they don't want to talk about it like it's politics. Ooh, I don't want to talk about this. But this time it's somehow different. It looks like as if the same people who yesterday still said that all soldiers are criminals and that Germany shouldn't have an army and all these things, now they want the German army to actually invade Eastern Europe again. Isn't that funny? And the same people who still yesterday, and by yesterday I mean like in February, who said that Germany shouldn't produce any weapons and all these manufacturers, they should be closed down like Heckler & Koch and Rheinmetall, and they're all criminals, and now they want us to give these away to where we have no control over who is getting them in the end. And there are already stories circulating, and once again, we don't know if that is true. There is no way to verify, but it is plausible to think that these weapons will be sold on the black market, of course, and arms dealers are probably already in Ukraine to score their budget deals for European weapons. The corrupt regime in Kiev is probably just making a lot of money on the weapons that we donated to them. And all these leftist women, they are cheering for that. But it is not only women, it is also soy boys. Yes, effeminate men, they also cheer for this war because it is what social media tells them to do. It is what the big corporations are telling them to do, and it is what, mass media and the system, what they generally tell them to do. And it is really striking that there is really this really big correlation or this overlap between people who are in favor of all these health measures we had in the last 2 years and who are totally on the side of Ukraine here and think that we should get involved. It is really like the people who control society, these technocrats in their big control tower, that they just flipped a switch or something and people's programming jumped right from, we need to wear masks and we need to social distance and we need to ostracize people who want to breathe air to we have to invade Ukraine now. And maybe we can make it until Moscow before winter. So now I want to tell you what all this means in my personal opinion, at least. I think that people who have seen war or people who really contemplated it because they were in the army, maybe not in active deployment or something, but at least in the army, so people who know at least theoretically what would happen to them or how dangerous and how horrible war can actually be, that they don't want to go to war. Big surprise, they don't want that. When I was in the army, at least then, soldiers were praying for peace. They wished for peace. They did not want to go to war. Of course, there were a bunch of people who wanted to see some action, but they probably choose another road. But normal soldiers in the German army, guess what? They didn't want to go to war because they and their families would have to suffer or take great risks. Other people, however, they don't really care because they don't have to pay with their own lives, and that is women and soy boys, because soy boys, they are not of any use in the military anyway, and they would never serve or enlist. And when you have to draft them, then it is really over, I guess, in Germany. So these people, they can be as aggressive as they want to, and they can be keyboard warriors because they don't have to do anything. It is other people's lives that will be ruined over this. And there are so many examples in history about that. Hillary Clinton or Madeleine Albright, they have no problem sending people to die in wars because they are safe at home in an air-conditioned room. I mean, Madeleine Albright was asked once about a big and disastrous war where they said, hundreds of thousands of victims, innocent civilians, was it worth it? And she said, yeah, it was worth it. Of course it was. Yeah, because it's not her children. Yeah, it's not her tribe, if you know what I mean. So these people are very far away from actual fighting and suffering. So it is very, very easy for them to just change their avatar on social media and make these ridiculous and pompous statements about our duty and what we need to do now, because it is always other people that will suffer and they only want to make money or they are, manipulated by the media. And this is also the reason why I keep showing all these pictures of the former secretaries of defense of Germany. They're all women, yes. And I also should add that they're all women who have no clue about the military. Of course, don't get me wrong here. If it was a guy who has no idea about the military, it would be equally as bad. But they choose women that have no idea about defense, about what it means to go to war or what you need to do that, about the equipment that is being used. They never served and they never will have to serve, and that is a big deal. You shouldn't be in charge of an army if you never served or if you don't know what that means, if you would not be on the line, if bad comes to worse. This is why I think a man should be in charge here, and actually, it is more important that it is not just any man, but a man who is an expert and who served himself for a long time in the military. Alright, let me know, as I said, in the comments down below if you made similar observations in your country maybe, or if this is something that just I am seeing here. Big shout out and thank you to all my supporters and my subscribers. Check me out on other social media platforms also, and if you like, you can support me via Patreon or Subscribestar. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a nice new week. Servus, Kameraden.